Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Hello and welcome to ILANOMICS. We have noted economist and NIPFP professor Ila Patnaik with us. Ila also has a column at ThePrint which is also called ILANOMICS. Now today we are discussing how Rahul Gandhi, Congress president, yesterday announced the minimum basic income scheme for the poor. Now do you think, Ila, this makes sense? Do you think this will actually reduce poverty in India?
Mawa, this is a palliative because poverty can be reduced finally by people finding jobs, livelihoods. So while this will solve the problem of people not having enough to eat or to be able to send their children to school or health, but other than a palliative, it is not the solution. I think the solution needs to be much more, and along with this I wish there had been a strategy, or maybe there will be, they may be coming up with it later, but there needs to be a strategy on how are we going to get more investment, more jobs, more growth and growth in incomes, because this can help, of course. Transfer income programs and schemes like this are important and necessary to give a basic livelihood to the very, very poor, but it is not the solution, long-term solution for their upliftment
and for sustainable growth. Now coming to the implementation part of it, we don't know how the scheme is going to be financed or how it's going to be implemented. Would you like to throw light on that?
See, this is supposed to be, from what has been announced, a scheme for the poor whose incomes are low. Currently what we have, such as for the BPL, right, is identification of the beneficiaries by looking at what assets they have. Right. So there is a list of assets, and then the panchayat puts up the list of the below poverty line households based on that list of assets. How are income levels going to be identified? How are beneficiaries going to be identified? How will you find cutoffs about which families will receive income and which will not, is something that is still not been worked out. And I think it is going to be a huge challenge because there will be people who are just at the same level, right, and there are about 50% of the population has a mean income of about 1 lakh. So there is a very large mass of people who are just around that income level, and it is going to be a huge challenge. If you look at the BPL lists of states, you find that many times these lists cover as much as 80% of the population. So for some of the health schemes, when we look at who are the beneficiaries, when the beneficiaries are supposed to be BPL, then they can be very large. If the numbers become very big, then this certainly poses a very, very big fiscal challenge.
Yes. So what kind of impact will it have on the exchequer? Now that you said there's going to be a huge fiscal challenge, what kind of impact will it have on the exchequer?
So the numbers that are being given out are something between 3.4 lakh to 3.6 lakh crore. But what has not been discussed yet is how is it going to be financed. Right. If it is 1.2% of GDP additional borrowing, then it means that fiscal FRBM targets are certainly not going to be met. The government may be choosing to amend the FRBM, then they have to say so. If it's not going to be by borrowing, then is it going to be higher taxes? If it is higher taxes, we are already at a level of yes, tax to GDP ratio, which for our level of incomes is reasonable. So it's very hard to push up the tax to GDP ratio. In addition, is it the GST which is going to be raised, or is our direct taxes going to be raised? Taxes on profits, when you include dividends, etc., ultimately are about 50% already. Yes, and taxes for the highest income slab, for personal income taxes, are about 33%. Are we going to increase those? So I just feel that when a plan like this is being made, then along with it, there needs to be a plan of how it is going to be financed. Because without the financing, if you're going to end up, just borrowing, because you are not able to shut down all the other subsidy schemes, Manrega and so on, which is what some people are expecting would happen, but which are very, very difficult to shut down. Once a scheme is started, we don't see schemes being shut down easily. So if it's not going to be schemes shutting down, if it is not going to be higher taxes, then it could mean higher borrowing. Higher borrowing means it could spill over onto the current account deficit. Yes. It could mean that it would be higher inflation. So does the government, does the Congress plan to raise the inflation target when they are in government if they win, and to keep their promise? This is a question about how do you achieve the macro balance when you are going to raise fiscal spending by 1.2%. And if you're not going to raise it by 1.2% and you're going to cut other things, there needs to be a commitment upfront about what is going to be cut. Because, it's very, very hard to cut anything.
The subsidies, which are the...
Absolutely. Or government expenditure, it's just very, very difficult. And we haven't seen that happen easily in the past. Right. So that commitment needs to be made together. The difficulty with a scheme like this is that nobody, and especially at election time, nobody is going to say that the poor should not be given money.
Yes.
But it is very important from the macro balance point of view to say, where is the money going to come from? And how are we going to make sure that it remains within the limits and targeted to the population, which has to be needed.
Also keeping in mind the fiscal deficit target and all the other macroeconomic indicators.
Absolutely.
Right. So as Ila said, the scheme will have many challenges. We do not know how it is going to be implemented, where the money is going to come from. Thank you so much, Ila, for your inputs and thoughts. Keep watching ILANOMICS. Join us again on the other episode of ILANOMICS. Thank you. Thank you.